Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Coffee and Football, presented by Adam Lowy and the Lowy Law Firm. I'm your host, Blake Monroe, where I'm joined every day by Bobby Burton and Jerry Hamilton. Tell us where you're checking in from this morning, what you're drinking, get your questions in. We'll get to those here in a little bit. And guys, let's talk about the final AP poll that came out yesterday. Texas ranked number 12 to finish the season with a 10-3 record overall. But curious to get y'all thoughts on where Texas is and kind of where everyone is in this final top 25.
Quirky poll.
Yeah, it's not even quirky. And I wrote this morning, guys. It's like they didn't even watch Texas after the Georgia game. I genuinely believe that. Texas went 7-1 down the stretch. Georgia beat Texas in Athens. Texas only down by 3 going into the fourth quarter, but then they laid it on them pretty good. And I think voters just discounted Texas from there on. So a double-digit win against number whatever team it was at the time, A&M, a double-digit win against Michigan in the Citrus Bowl. None of that mattered to them. The only thing that the saving grace here is this, and that's that OU finally went below Texas. And maybe that's a final acknowledgement of who should have been in the college football playoffs instead of the Sooners. But I firmly believe Texas would have beaten number 7, Texas Tech, number 8, Texas A&M, and number 9, Alabama, as well as number 11, BYU. Texas would have been favored against all 4 of those teams. I think that the voters nationally, they were lazy on Texas this year. They just said, "Oh well, they're not that good." They played these teams in the middle of the season like Kentucky and Mississippi State and had problems. They didn't watch the advancement of Texas or give them credit for what they did over the end of the season. They just didn't. They tuned out after the Georgia game and maybe didn't acknowledge what they did prior to that with some teams. So I'll forever think that Texas was a top 10 team in this year. It won't go down in history that way because of the AP poll. But how you move a Notre Dame team or keep a Notre Dame team that decides not to play in a bowl game in your top 10, I don't know. I mean, something's got to give here. I'm not sure what it is, but it's kind of ridiculous.
Yeah, I could see Texas being 9. I would put them ahead of BYU, Texas Tech. I mean, Texas Tech couldn't score in the playoffs, and A&M. I can hear arguments the other way because if Texas couldn't stop the pass against Diego Pavi in Arkansas, how could they stop the pass against Ty Simpson and Kalen DeBoer? So I don't think that's a layup win for Texas because Texas was so bad.
I don't know that any of them are layups.
Yeah.
By the way.
Yeah, I mean, so I can't sit. Well, I'm just saying I can't sit there and say Texas would have beat Bama because Texas couldn't stop the pass, and they were a quality passing team with Ty Simpson and Kalen DeBoer in that offense. So I think that one is pure toss up. But look, Texas beat Texas A&M. They should have been ahead of them. Texas Tech scored 0 and made Cody Campbell double down because he was embarrassed about getting shut out in the college football playoff. And that's exactly why he had to double down, because he was embarrassed. They shouldn't have been. Texas Tech should not have finished 7. You can't score in a playoff. You were clearly overrated, and we all knew it. BYU being ahead of Texas is a complete freaking joke. That one's just wild to me. I don't even know what to say to that, honestly. But I think Texas could have been anywhere from 8, 9. I can hear the argument with Notre Dame. But again, teams that, they would have scored a lot on Texas, so Texas would have to score a lot right back in that game. In my estimation, was Texas secondary. Texas was so bad covering the pass late in the season. But I think Texas should have been 8 or 9. I 100% agree with Bobby. They should have been a top 10 team. I think the thing that hurts Texas is so many eyeballs were on Texas this year, more than other teams. So any weaknesses were magnified. And some teams didn't have as much viewership, so their weaknesses were masked. I think that's a big thing because when you have more eyeballs on you, everybody's going to dissect your team. And the Texas team started with really bad offense, very inaccurate quarterback play. Arch went through his transition of losing confidence and being so tough mentally, and then ended up being really good at the end of the year. Texas started well defensively, had that stretch during the season where they were just bad in the secondary and couldn't stop the pass against, I don't know, Duncanville. So I think there was that ebb and flow. But when you have more eyeballs on you, it's harder. You're going to be dissected a little differently. And that's the one thing I would say. I mean, but BYU being ahead of Texas, give me a break, man.
That's what I'm. So you're talking about Alabama and all that stuff. Ty Simpson folded under pressure a lot this year too. I mean, I just Colin Simmons. People don't appreciate how good a pass rush Texas had as the year wore on either. And yes, and that's ultimately, I think that helped them win the Vanderbilt game, even though Vanderbilt scored 21 in the fourth quarter. Jerry, if Colin Simmons doesn't cause the sack fumble in the first quarter over Pavia, I mean, I just feel like Tech, A&M, Alabama, BYU. I mean, what are you doing? Texas was better than those teams. Texas should have been in over Alabama and Oklahoma in the SEC. They had the harder path. Alabama only got in, frankly, because they beat Georgia in that mid-season game. They didn't show any improvement after that game. Actually, they disimproved. If anything, they got worse. So I'm okay. I mean, look, I don't put a lot of value in these polls. I just think that it tells me how lazy some people are. And how lazy the typical, not the typical AP writer, like I think Ralph Rousseau, the AP lead guy, had Texas at 10 or 11, something like that. So it's the guys that are in, I don't know, Spokane or Boston that are voting on this. That they also were on the Patriots beat, or on the Seattle Seahawks beat. That somehow expect to be part of this poll. And anyways, I'll leave that for another day. I think the Fort Worth Star-Telegram guy had Texas at 14, something like that.
Yeah, so he's probably why TCU ended up 25. Well, I mean, give me a break. But at least they got 1 and 2 right.
Yeah, I agree with that.
The poll got 1 and 2 right, so I would congratulate them on that, because I'm sure. Did every poll voter actually vote Indiana 1? I didn't look at the breakdown.
I would imagine so. They were only undefeated team. Hey, we need to say,
Bobby. You never know. That was my joke. You never know with these guys. Somebody might have had them number 2.
Hey, we got Tony Hills coming up here on Hump Day with Hills. First, let's say thank you to Adam Lowy over at the Lowy Law Firm. Adam's been helping injured Texans for 20 plus years, a Texas law school grad. If you've been injured in a car wreck, truck wreck, automobile accident of any kind, and think you might be due compensation, reach out to Adam and his firm, loweylawfirm.com. They'll give you a free, no strings attached consultation to see if you might be due compensation. Again, that is loweylawfirm.com. Adam, we appreciate your sponsorship of On Texas Football. Thank you very much. Again, that is loweylawfirm.com. Hey, before we bring in Tony, I want to mention this, guys, as well. Longhorns waiting on the final entrance of the transfer portal. Right now, we already have 1 entrance from a player that Texas would have interest of. That's Princewell Umamelian, the defensive end out of Ole Miss, 9 sacks last year, originally from nearby Manor, Texas, has officially entered the transfer portal. A lot of people have him pegged to go immediately to LSU, where he played for Lane Kiffin during last regular season. LSU expected to have a sizable NIL package on the table for Umamelian as well. However, I would say this, Texas going to at least throw its hat in the ring, apparently, here, and we'll see what happens. There will be others that enter the portal later today. Be on the lookout for an offensive lineman or 2 that Texas might pursue. No promises at this point with that, but that's the hope for the Longhorns.
All right, guys. Well, it's Wednesday, which means it's Hump Day with Hills. Good morning, Tony.
I'm back, man. I'm back. Listen, I don't know if we have employees. employee benefits with this show, man, but I needed to take a leave of absence last week, man. So I hope the fans and the people that watch this show can forgive me. But there's a real good reason why I was gone, Bobby. I went and Jerry in the voice of Longhorn Network, this Longhorn Network with Coffee and Football, Mr. Blake Monroe himself. Blake, I feel like, man, even though you got that smooth Texas accent, you might have Louisiana background, bro. You got to go check that out because I was in New Orleans, all right? And I met up with a couple of Cajuns, and y'all sound the same. They was like, hey, you come down here for the New Orleans thing, how the Mardi Gras. I was like, man, you sound like a dude I know, man, named Blake. But the NFL hosts a brain and body health scan. And I went down there to get all of that stuff done, man. And I am pleased to report that I'm going to be here for a long time. So with that being said, what's up, Coffee and Football? It's your man, Tony the
I was
Typhoon.
never worried about you failing that one, Tony.
Yeah.
But
Well, they said it was the hoodie. It was the hoodie, man. My internal heat, man, is just so like good that no disease can live in my body because I have so many hoodies, man. That's what it was, Jerry. You got to step your hoodie game up.
I do.
Your head health is going to be good because of your hats.
Yeah.
Oh, hey,
Tony, what kind of comfort does that give you? Just,
mean,
look, you played a violent sport for a lot of your life.
Yeah.
What kind of comfort does that give you walking away?
Yeah, I mean it's everything, man. You know, shout out to my other half for Miss Tish with the oatmeal cream pies that she makes and all of that stuff. Shout out to her. But you know, that was one of the driving factors for me to do it. The reality is, man, like a lot of athletes, we're strong in a lot of areas, but one of the areas I believe that there's a little fear in is understanding what's happening under the hood, right? Because when you get the results, that becomes real. As long as you don't know, you can concoct this narrative in your head about still being that Superman that you were, even when your body is giving you clear signs, right, that you have an issue. It's kind of like if you have a car and the oil light comes on and you think the way to fix it is just to turn the oil light off, right? But no, you got to get an oil change, right? And so for me, I was just like, my family is too important for me not to know what's really going on. So once I got the results, I was like, okay, I mean, there's some things I need to fix from a diet standpoint, right? I'm like, okay, those are things that I can easily handle. But had I waited too long, it would have been worse. So I encourage everybody, not just athletes, like everybody that's on here, whether you're somebody that's working, extremely long hours for a job or whatnot, to focus and maintain your health, because that job is going to replace you. If you were to pass away now, that job would send some flowers to your family and find the next person. You need to prioritize yourself and prioritize your health. And for you guys, being my brothers, my friends, the guys that I hang with, man, make sure you guys are getting your health and stuff checked too, man, because we need you guys around for a long time also.
Yeah. Tony, I've got to ask this question for you. When you go down there and do something like this NFL physical, I guess, that they offered, I thought that CTE could only be properly diagnosed after the fact. Obviously, people see some things prior to that.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, historically, we've learned that in this relatively new disease that we've what is it that the NFL talks to you guys about that? And if I'm hitting too close to home on anything, please let me know. But I'd like to understand that a little bit more.
Yeah, no, Bob, you can never hit too close to home, man. I'm an open book, man. If my story can help anybody, then that's what I want to share, right? Which is one of the reasons I wrote the book that I wrote, right? So, but what they did is it's a 3-day intensive. So just to give you some clarity on the cost of this and why a lot of people would not be able to get this particular test, it's a 3-day intensive, and the cost of everything that they did would probably total somewhere around $50,000.
Wow.
Right? And so the first day, and so it's from 7:30. The first day was from 7:30 to about 4 or 5 o'clock. The second day was from 7:30 to like 2. And then the last day was like from 7:30 to 11:30. So the first day is all body work, right? So we're talking, I mean, it took like 17 to 20 vials of blood to run all different types of tests. I was in MRIs, X-rays, neurology tests, echocardiograms, the carotid artery test, ultrasound, like shoot, man, half MRI. I mean, you name it. Like I've been in more machines then than I have been in the NFL draft, bro. It was crazy. We're poking and prying. It's like, does this hurt? Does that hurt? I was like, it was fine till you started yanking on it, bro. You know what I mean? Like, you try to move point if you're pulling on me, right? And then the second day is making sure that the emotions and the mental is right, like talking to, therapists and stuff like that. Like, just seeing where you are. How has the transition phase been? Because so many athletes struggle in the transition phase because you've been one thing for so long. And so helping you through that if that's needed. And then lastly, they go over your entire report with Dr. Fernando, I believe that's what his name. Shout out to Dr.
That's an appropriate name this week, by the way, Fernando. But go ahead.
Yeah, right. And so, this guy's been doing what he's been doing for like 20, 30 years. And, he's letting me know, like, hey, your overall health right now, man, you're killing it. But I do see some risk factors due to familiar health. And I'm like, man. So now that gave me the keys to say, you know what? Okay, I need to switch up some things like the ice cream and all that. We got to cut that back. You know what I mean? The saturated fats and the red meats, we need to leave that alone. And it's like, you're healthy, right? But you can get better. And for me, I'm all about self-improvement. Here's the things that I got from this, Bobby, that was so crucial to me. One, brain is good. They were able to look at the neural pathways and everything. They're like, you're good there. And I've had concussions. So God has kept me in that space. Two, the silent killer, the arteries, right? Carotid arteries, the pathway, the blood flow not being there. Clean as a whistle, nothing, right? So those things were the things to where I was like, okay, all right, this stuff I'm going to attack. The other stuff I'm going to keep doing. So knowledge gave me the understanding, and now I'm going to use wisdom moving forward.
That's good because you worry about CTE, and it's not preventable apparently once it starts, and it just goes deeper. But that's great news, and I think it's not many people know that the NFL does this kind of stuff either.
Yeah,
and so while the NFL can be vilified for some, rightfully so, for some of its policies. Something like this is a positive, and I would venture to say that something like this doesn't come about without a players union that brings that about, which could tie into the NIL transfer portal at some point, right?
Yeah.
Hey, Tony, while you were away, Texas did something interesting. Texas has Trevor Goosby's decided to return.
Yeah.
Brandon Baker returning on the right side at tackle.
Mm.
Texas went out and got another tackle, a starter. That's a high. We don't know if he's a high-end draft pick or mid-round draft pick, but he's a tackle. Started a couple years at Wake Forest. With the thought of one of those two guys, Baker or his name is Melvin Siani, move inside. Knowing what you know of Brandon Baker and having seen him this year, do you think he could make that move inside on the offensive line, or do you want to see somebody else move inside on the offensive line?
So here's the thing. When you look at body type, right? His body type fits guard. It really does. And
Brandon Baker, you're talking about, right?
Brandon Baker, yes. Brandon Baker's body type fits guard, right? Now, which guard, that's just dependent on how you view him. Do you view him as more an athletic guard? A lot of times when you look at it traditionally, more of the athletic side tends to be on the left, more of the road grader side tends to be on the right, traditionally, right? Yep. I know there's hybrids and things of that nature, but we're speaking generality. My only, I'm not even going to say concern, my only, the question that I would have is his ability to handle bigger bodies inside, right? Like DJ Campbell, it's almost like you hope that you would get a bigger body against somebody like a DJ Campbell. Like, I'm gonna pick you up, I'm gonna put you on your back, right? He struggled a little bit with the shiftier guys. I believe Brandon Baker will be fine with the shiftier guys because his ability to handle that on the outside edge. But does he have the explosive power, the hip drive to move big guys and open up holes? That I don't know. And that depends on how quick you make the decision if you're Coach Flood to say, this is what I'm going to do, so that now he knows strategically, and the strength coaches know strategically how they need to build his body to do the job that they're going to ask him to do. So that's the question. But from a body type standpoint, it makes sense.
Yeah. You watched the national championship game, I guess.
I did.
Indiana and Miami, two really good offensive lines.
Yes.
But Indiana, you could say theoretically the Miami offensive line as a whole will be drafted higher, I think.
Yeah.
Right? Across the board. But Indiana, still won that football game. What did you think of the two offensive line plays? I'll throw it open that way as opposed to anything else. The offensive line play of both Miami and Indiana, what you liked and what you saw, and maybe was it the difference in the game?
Yeah. So right off the bat, when you're looking at it, I'll break it down in three phases. The first phase is when you're looking at it from an athleticism standpoint. From an athleticism standpoint, Indiana's offensive line cannot touch Miami's offensive line, period, point blank, right? The left tackle, 6'9", 345. You have, I think it was, I call him Brock. I forgot his last name, but I know Big Brock, the center in the middle. Very extremely athletic, being able to reach the set. I saw him getting linebackers all day, which 57-yard run. You see him hook the outside linebacker, get movement on the right side, open up lanes. Like, they were extremely athletic, right? So you have talent there. Cristobal, obviously, is offensive lineman, so he understands what to look for when it comes to that. So you saw that show up, right, against Indiana. Now, when you look at Indiana's offensive line, Bobby and Jerry, you guys are going to love this. You know what it reminded me of? It reminded me of the Katy Tigers. The Katy Tigers. And what I mean by that is these guys, first of all, they're an older bunch, right? So you have to take that into consideration. These guys got 20, 30, 40 starts, right? So they've seen a lot of ball, right? But they're independently, nothing special. But collectively, man, they just know how their body types work and how to get the job done. There was a tackle that I played with in the NFL. His name was Zach Street. This guy, and it's my guy too, but he'll tell you himself, very minimal athleticism. But the reason why he was a starter for so long is he knew angles and he knew his body. He knew how to get his body to do certain things to get to points in the offense. That's what I saw with Indiana. There, outside of the offsides penalty, which was very much so out of character, there's very minimal penalties there. Like they're very mechanical in their action, right? They're very I would say, like, maniacal in the details, right? That's a word I just made up. But they're very maniacal in the details. Like, if their hat placements needs to be on the outside shoulder, it's going to be on the outside shoulder. If they need to get their backside shoulder underneath the defensive line, they're going to do that. If they need to climb at a particular angle to get to the line, they're going to that angle. So what you saw was athleticism versus discipline and consistency. And at the end of the day, discipline and consistency won, right? So when I look at their offensive lines, I see a group that's coached extremely well and works extremely well in that system. But also I look at the standpoint of they've played a lot of ball too. And that has to be talked about as it pertains to why they were able to do what they did against such an athletic front, with that being Miami.
Boy, they did nothing. They did nothing. Indiana did nothing but run straight downhill.
That's it. That's it.
I think they knew their guys lacked that athleticism to deal with Miami. And so put a hat on a hat and try to push it downfield.
But that shows you how important the running back is to be able to run that type of offense. You have to have a one-cut downhill back, and that's what Hemby is, right? And it was, oh my gosh, Bobby, you just unleashed something. It was so refreshing. And I hope that Texas fans watch this game, because everything that I've been saying is what Indiana did. They went to old school football, right? Yes. one cut, get downhill, keep pounding. For so much of the game, it was a 2-yard run, 3-yard run, 6-yard run, 2-yard run, 3-yard. But what was happening is 3rd and 5, 3rd and 6, 3rd and 4, 3rd and 3. It opens up the offense. And then at the end of the game, 15 yards, 20 yards, 17 yards. That's how football is played. It's a battle of attrition. And I believe that was the difference in the game. Like Miami found something to get back in the game with up tempo, because had they continued to run their regular offense, I believe Indiana would have they would have won that game handily. They wouldn't have blown them out. But it's 27-14 or 24-14. They found something in the hurry up, because the way that Indiana's defense works is they're key ridden. They read certain keys, they manipulate their defense, and they weren't able to do that in a hurry up. They had to play in base, and now you saw Miami's athleticism offensively take over, right? But prior to that, they were having the problem.
Hey, Tony, talk about that, because I thought the best. I mean, one of the key things that came out of that game, and people could say, well, should Miami have run it more early? Indiana sure this season knew where every play was going before it was called. Very, very great job scouting. But, Tony, what about the power run and just the commitment to the run? I think one of the reasons Indiana ran it so much is because they couldn't pass pro against Miami, by the way.
Yeah.
Time to talk about that from that standpoint, because both those teams, their commitment to the run during the season, I think, is what helped get them to where they were.
Yeah, absolutely. No, look, I mean, is it fair to say that the edge rushers of Miami were similar and caused as much havoc this season as the edge rushers of the Houston Texans collegiately? Absolutely. They're being trained by a shoe-in Hall of Famer, which is Jason Taylor. Like those guys were phenomenal. Even in the game, plays were made. Like taking on tight ends and tackles, shedding both of them and making tackles in the backfield, running down for Fernando Mendoza, and he's an athletic guy. Being able to track him down for losses and hitting them early. These guys played a tremendous game. But Indiana is Kirk Cignetti in Indiana. They know who they are. Yeah. They know their identity, and they weren't going to allow Miami to dictate them being something that they were not. They were going to stay committed to what got them there. And this is what I've been saying from the beginning as it pertains to Texas. Who are we? What are we going to commit to? And are we going to commit to it all the way through? We can't ebb and flow against the current. Okay, 1 week we're going to pass 50 times, the next week we're going to try to run the ball, and then we're going to say we can't run the ball. It's not that you can't, right? It's that you're not committed, because if Indiana takes that same thought process in the first and second quarter, then they stop running and trying to get Fernando to sling the pill all over the place with quick route screens or whatever, right? But they just knew at some point the dam is going to break. We just got to stay with it, man. And so for me, when I look at that team, you got to give this man, you got to give him all his flowers to do something of that caliber in that place with no 5 stars, by the way. That has to be talked about. You want to talk about the age and all that. All right, that's great. But age or not, the guys on the other side trump the guys that they played athletically, period and point blank, right? And so it was just refreshing to see old school football wins again.
I think Cignetti does an amazing job of using timeouts in game. I think he is a tremendous game clock manager. Yeah. Coach. Hey, Tony, talk about Ruben Bain a little bit. Okay. Because Colin Simmons is a projected top 5, top 10 pick next year.
Yeah.
What are the differences between those two guys? Obviously, Bain came out of high school 6'2", 250. Texas went down and took a look at him. There were a lot of colleges in the SEC that fell into the trap of, is he big enough?
Yeah.
He was like 6'1.5", 240 his junior year. But talk about Ruben Bain. You played against a lot of great players.
Yeah.
I think that guy's he's going to be a perennial all-pro if he stays healthy. And then talk about him and Simmons, the differences in those guys.
Well, him from a body type, I think of Dwight Freeney. He was a short, stocky, quick guy, short, stocky guy,
Yep.
6'2", probably like 265, 270. I think the lightest he played at like 255, somewhere around that. I actually played with Dwight. But Bane, short area quickness, strength to hold the point, but able to rush the passer, has tremendous body control and knee flexibility, strong power, strong hands. You know, this is what happens when you get caught up in the analytics and body types and phenoms of players instead of turning on the tape and seeing what they can actually do. So a lot of colleges missed out on that opportunity. When you talk about the difference between him and Colin Simmons, they're not the same players. Colin Simmons is more of a, and understand when I say these names, I'm not saying that they're these players. I'm talking about body type and certain attributes that they have. But Colin Simmons is more of a Von Miller type, right? He's wiry, strong, but he's extremely athletic. His first step is crazy. He's able to start and stop on the dime. He's able to get tackles to move their feet. They underestimate his power, so he's able to get into their chest and get off of them, right? So it's hard to get your hands on him, right? So he's more of a shifty type player, where Bane has the ability to be shifty, but also hold point and power. Colin can do that at times, but that's not what you're going to ask him to do the entire game. You could ask Bane to do this the entire game, and he has the built-in leverage in the body type. James Harrison is the same way. You know, it'll say 6 feet or 6'1". They ain't 6'1". but he's a strong guy that can hold the point of attack, right? And so those players like that, what a lot of scouts miss is you're playing with a guy that has built-in leverage. As long as he can hold the point and crush and move the pocket, then I don't care if he's not 6'5". There's not a limitation to him. What are you asking a defensive end to do? Hold point, rush the passer, make plays, chase plays down. Okay, well, turn on the tape and show me what Bane can't do.
Yeah. Hey, you know why I asked you that, Tony? Because
Why?
of one Dwight Freeney and one Robert Mathis.
Yeah.
Collins kind of reminded me of a Robert Mathis type body type, that pass rusher, where to Ruben Bain reminds me of Dwight Freeney.
Yeah. And that's a great comparison. The thing with and I've played with them both. The thing with Mathis is he's stronger than he looks.
Yeah.
Right. And it's the same situation. So you think, okay, this guy's going to look to beat me to speed, and now he stuttered a bull press and hit you straight down the chest, and now you're on skates trying to reset. But he's already hit you quick. By the time you get ready to anchor down so you can stop this bull rush, he's already off and getting around to the quarterback. Colin Simmons has that. Another thing that Colin has that I've seen him get better year in and year out is he uses his hands really well. His hand placement is really good, right? And I can tell that he's been working with that. So, and then another thing too, Jerry, is they don't just ask him to be a pass rusher. You know, he has to play in space. So it's a little different. It's a little different body type and it's a different ask from both of those players as well.
Tony, we appreciate you so much. Hump Day with Hills. Glad you got a good bill of health, my brother.
Yeah, man.
That's a good thing to have. Hope you enjoyed Mardi Gras or whatever it was over in New Orleans.
Yeah, no, man.
Or two at night, you know.
No, nobody got Bobby. We just went to a jazz club, jammed out, and chilled. Hey, Bobby, if I can, I want to do something because I think that this is really important. I've had a lot of conversations with just different people, corporate executives, athletes, both collegiately, professionally. And a lot of them struggle with the transition phase from moving from one situation to another, right? And I wanted to take this time to let people know that I wrote about that. And if that's okay, I would like to share that information with people. But I wrote a book called What to Do When It's Done. It's on Amazon. And the whole premise of the book is to talk about not only my story, but the different frameworks and things that I've learned over time to be able to help us to transition. Like, when you look at, and I'm talking to my brothers here mostly, when you look at the suicide rate of men, it's 75%. It is extremely high. And when you get down to it, a lot of it, they talk about the mental health, but a lot of it is that there's a lack of purpose. There's a lack of understanding of who they are. And my heart is for my brothers, and I really need them to understand that, listen, God has put something in you but it's your job to discover it and to refine it and to move in it and stop letting outside people tell you who you are. Right. So the book's on Amazon, wrote it here, right here, called What to Do When It's Done. I would really love for people to go get it. It's a short read, but I've already gotten good reviews from it, and it's changed people's lives. Somebody hit me in my DM and was like, man, I appreciate you writing this because this is exactly what I needed at this time. I believe I was going to make a real big mistake. And Bobby, like, I'm trying not to get emotional. I've lost too many friends that way, that I was so ingratiated in what I'm doing that I didn't see that they needed my help. So that's that. I didn't mean to get emotional, man, but it means something to me. And I just know the people that watch this show, they come in and they want the happiness and the joy, but I know sometimes you got to go back to your regular life and it's not always what you wanted, but that's just a challenge. You can overcome that. I was paralyzed for 8 months, Bobby. Paralyzed. I didn't know what was going to happen, but I decided that I wasn't going to quit. And by the grace of God, he allowed me to do what I was destined to do. And I just want everybody to know, don't let a dark moment, don't let a situation that is not permanent allow you to make a permanent decision. Don't do that. Just fight through it. You will come out on top. You're more than a conqueror. You will win.
Tony, thank you so much. Look, I have a lot of admiration for people that try to put good out in the world. And by writing a book about something like that, that's exactly what you're trying to do. And Tony, if you help one person, you've helped enough.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the reality of life. And it sounds like that's what you're trying to do. So we appreciate not only here on Texas Football, but what you're doing outside.
Thank you, man.
Take care of yourself, man. Hook 'em horns.
Right. Hook 'em, baby. Appreciate you guys.
Yep.
Thanks, Tony.
Our friend Blake Monroe will have the URL for that book if you want to use it a little bit later as well. So good stuff from Tony. We talked about that CTE stuff. That's scary stuff. I'm glad that they're doing that for players. I mean, giving them full 3-day physicals post NFL. It's good stuff.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, there is some preventative stuff you can do to take care of a lot of major issues that you might have.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah. Miracle Martinez, thank you for the super chat. Sorry, if it would have came up in time, I would have put it up for Tony, but appreciate that. All right, Jerry, I am going to let you tell everyone about Vaughn Lane this morning.
Get on the bus, Jerry.
Yep. This is look, travel that works as hard as you do. That is the headline of this read. Whether you're heading to a conference, a client meeting, or an important presentation, how you travel certainly matters in life. Vaughn Lane offers a premium, stress-free alternative to flying or driving, built for people who value their time. Each Vaughn Lane coach features just 22 spacious seats, complimentary Wi-Fi, snacks, beverages, and hot towel service on every trip. On select routes, you'll also get to enjoy a complimentary meal service, making the journey as comfortable as the destination. As one recent traveler said, this was one of the best traveling experiences I've had. I don't think I'll ever drive myself again. The host was better than any flight attendant I've ever had. Great service, great amenities, and incredible, comfortable ride. Now, Vaughn Lane has added Starlink internet. It's rolling out across the fleet. It's Vaughn Lane's complimentary Wi-Fi is becoming even faster and more reliable, perfect for staying connected on the move. This list keeps growing, by the way. Vaughn Lane serves Austin, Dallas, Houston, San Antonio, Fort Worth, Plano, the Woodlands, Nashville, Memphis, Atlanta, and Knoxville. You can also charter your own Vaughn Lane if you want to do that as well. Design a fully customized trip for your group from pickup location to final drop-off. I'm guessing some Texas fans will make one of those reservations to take them to Baton Rouge next year for the LSU game. Learn more and book at vaughnlane.com. First-time users can enter OTF26 year change, and that changes to OTF26 at checkout for $20 off their first trip. Vaughn Lane is a private jet on wheels. Again, that code has changed as the year changes. OTF26 for $20 off your first ride.
All right, thank you, Jerry. And I'm also going to tell everyone this morning about Prize Picks, because whether you're starting a new routine or making player picks for the first time, trying something new can be hard. But in life and on Prize Picks, it always feels good to be right. And with high-pressure playoff matchups every weekend and elite hoops action almost every night, it never stops. Prize Picks lets you take control. This week for the NFL championships, I have Jarrett Stidham with more than 188.5 passing yards, Sam Darnold to have at least one interception, and RJ Harvey to have more than 39.5 rushing yards. And with the new social feeds feature, you can share Prize Picks with your friends and copy lineups from winners with a single click. Copy lineups you like or use them as inspiration for your own picks. You can even follow Prize Picks partners like myself and tell or fade my picks with just one click. Don't forget, Prize Picks now available in all 50 states. That includes California, Florida, Georgia, and right here in the great state of Texas. So download the Prize Picks app today. Use code ONTEXAS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Again, that's code ONTEXAS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. And that's Prize Picks. It's good to be right. Okay, guys, ESPN actually put out, I know it's a long ways away, but ESPN did a preview for the 2027 NFL draft. They looked at every position, took the top 4 players that they think for that position that are draft eligible. I'm going to put this graphic up on the screen here. And all the Texas players are in bold to make it a little easier for you to find, but multiple Longhorns on this list, guys.
Yeah, I mean, Matt Miller is who did this list, one of the ESPN draft analysts who obviously scouts a lot of games. Arch Manning, obviously quarterback with Dante Moore, Sorsby, and Sam Levitt. Running back, there's some really good players there. Wide receiver, Cam Coleman, Jeremiah Smith, Ryan Williams. Seems like we've been talking about this draft class at wide receiver for longer than 2 years, probably because they were so good, those 3 guys in high school when Ryan Williams decided he was going to reclassify up. Those 3 guys were just head and shoulders talent-wise. And Ryan Wingo's very talented too. But I mean, Cam Coleman, Jeremiah Smith, Ryan Williams are elite talents. Ryan Williams needs to take, I think, a big step this year in his consistency. Tight end, obviously, Mike Masunas was on that list. He was the guy kind of the other. It listed 3 and said the sleeper, and they had Masunas on it, which was interesting. Offensive tackle, Brandon Baker, Gooseby Seaton, Jacob Ponton, who's out of Dripping Springs. I went to see him in high school. Texas almost offered him late. They liked him. They had him at camp. Had really good feet. That kid, he needed to gain weight. He was like 260, 262 when I saw him his senior year. He just needed to add that weight, maybe 265 in that area. He was very similar to Trevor Gooseby in that build, in that way, at the same age. Obviously, interior offensive lineman, you see those guys there. Cohen Eccles, the KD High guy. Edge, Colin Simmons, Dylan Stewart. We've been talking about them with the 3 wideouts. How great this draft is going to be in 27, not knowing when the quarterbacks were going to enter that draft. D-tackle, the kid from Texas Tech, A.J. Holmes, is a Spring Westfield player who originally started at his career at U of H, but very, very talented guy that was undersized, who's grown. He's got about 30 pounds. Linebackers, Rasheem Biles at the top of that list. I think it's a great draft to be a linebacker next year. By the way, I think Biles, even though Matt Miller said he's undersized, it's hard to argue with his productivity and how instinctive he is. Then you see cornerback and the safety, Leonard Moore, obviously from Round Rock at Notre Dame. Texas will play Eli Bowen, a Denton Ryan kid. But Texas will play against a lot of these guys next year on the schedule as well, Bobby. But great list, and it shows that, look, Texas is talent-wise. Rasheem Biles, Cam Coleman, Masunas out of the portal. So whatever we think, people think about, hey, how's Texas done in the portal? What could Texas have done better in the portal? And all the discussions going on around Texas and other teams in the portal by fan bases. Texas portal class is getting some pretty good reviews from the NFL scouts.
How many A&M guys are on that list? 1, and that's a transfer from LSU, right?
Yep.
Cohen Eccles.
Yep.
I would say that Mario Craver should be on there ahead of Ryan Williams, by the way, at this point, over at A&M. OU, I mean, is there anybody on there other than David Stone at this point?
Eli Bowen, and I mean,
Really?
David Stone is upside guy. You could argue Jackson's just as good a player.
Yeah, Look, here my thoughts just from a purely Texas viewpoint, right, are that I'm surprised that Mike Masunis is on this list at all, the tight end from Michigan State, given that, what did he have, 19 catches last year, considered more of a true inline tight end. So that's number one, but that it tells you what kind of athlete or ability he might have as an inline blocker to be rated that high. And then second is no Jelani McDonald.
Yeah.
I mean, where's Jelani McDonald on this list? Because I would think that he would definitely be one. And if you had Jelani McDonald on this list, Jerry, you would have one on every level of the defense for Texas.
Yeah.
D-line, linebacker, and secondary. So we'll see. I also found it interesting Isaac Brown rated that highly. The young man that Texas apparently had interest in, as well as Jaden Ball, the other guy. So all interesting, in my opinion.
Yeah. I think that safety draft next year is going to be really deep. KJ Bolden has been that guy since high school. Marcus Neal was tremendous at Iowa State. He goes to Penn State. Corey Parrish is tremendous, hidden at Minnesota. So you had to dig on to find him, but he was really good in high school. And Antoine Peak really good at Cincinnati. That safety draft is that position is going to be really deep. I'm interested to see how that kind of takes shape next season. And yeah, these are early lists, but one thing I think these lists tell you is how deep this 27 draft is going to be. I mean, with Dante Moore getting a Bahamas island to come back to Oregon, an island in the Bahamas. Essentially. Look, Sam Levitt, if he comes back off the foot and he can block out the noise, he's really talented. But how deep this draft is, really, really good running back draft. I mean, I think all four of those guys. I think Ball may be the best pro prospect, but Isaac Brown / Pacheco, he's really good. The wide receiver draft is going to be Studley. So I think this draft is going to be so deep in 27, so deep. If you're a first rounder in 27, you're a legit dude, because I think it's going to be tough to get inside that top 20 and probably in the first round when it's all said and done in that draft.
The other thing that came out, Blake and Jerry, was ESPN came out with their 2026 NFL draft. Mock. It wasn't even a mock. It was more, here are the top 50 prospects or so. Only one Longhorn in the top 50, and that was Anthony Hill. Now, I don't necessarily disagree with only one Longhorn in the top 50. Texas did not graduate heavily. I think Ethan Burke will be in that second, third round category, but Anthony Hill was the only one. My problem with that is Anthony Hill, they had listed at 41. I mean, if Anthony Hill truly goes down to 41, either this is a unbelievably talented draft class, or I've got some oceanfront property in Arizona to sell you. I mean, those are the two pieces to this. There's no way Anthony Hill, who has the ability to rush the passer, is going to go at 41. Just telling you that. Bet the under. I don't know what those markets are nowadays, Blake, that you look at, Poly Market and all this other crap. I would definitely take the under on 41 for Anthony Hill. He's gonna go sooner than 41. But that tells you that, combined with that look at 2027, Jerry, the fact that Texas did not have huge numbers, I think it tells you where Texas the strength of this team was, and one of the reasons why they finished stronger than they did start. And it's because of numbers. So, and because of age. They got better as the year went on. Bottom line.
I think Anthony Hill's going to be very interesting. I think where he goes is going to come down to how people see him. And, if they play him as a pass rusher and a downhill player, which is what he is, he will definitely go higher than that. If people are saying, if they look at the coverage ability, especially in the NFL, I think that can hurt him. I think it's going to be very interesting. It's going to be really come down to how these people see him in their scheme and in the NFL. I think the guy's a tremendous downhill player, and I think he can be a tremendous pass rusher in the NFL. He also creates turnovers on contact, which I do think that can carry over because he's a heavy hitter. I think it's going to be interesting to see what is the coverage. What's going to be talked about more at the combine? Is it going to be him as a pass rusher and downhill player, or him in coverage? Are they going to pick him? How much are they going to pick him apart? Is the question I have, because coverage is in the NFL. That's not going to be his go-to. That's not going to be his strength. He needs to be going after the football in a downhill manner.
Anybody want to put, unless he loses a leg on the way to the combine, anybody want to put money on it or any kind of other friendly wager on Anthony Hill going higher than 41? Let me know if anybody wants to do that, because I'd be game on that. He's going to go sooner than that. Too disruptive of a player. And ability and pass coverage be damned. I think he's just too disruptive of a player. Those guys go early.
It's a really good linebacker draft too.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, look, and it's also if he tests better than people think, and I'm not saying he's even better than they think he's going to test well. If he even goes beyond that, I think it'll be big for him.
All right, we got some super chats that we need to get to this morning, and this first one, I have no idea how to pronounce that. I'm just going to call you Z. So thank you, Z, for the super chat. It says, any news on Indiana's starting left guard, the late Travis grad, entering the portal with interest coming home to Texas?
Young man's name is Bray Lynch, played for Westlake. He's been at, this will be his 4th year, I believe, or maybe even be his 5th. Look, I think that he's coming off of winning a national championship, helping build a program from scratch. Would Texas make him an offer financially that would make sense? Probably so. One that Indiana may not match, but it ain't all about money. And I think he's in a special situation at Indiana. Would Texas pounce if he enters the portal? Absolutely. But we'll have to wait and see. There's no news yet. He did say some things that would lead you to believe that he's returning to Indiana next year. But, we've seen somebody said that at Miami yesterday and then went in the portal 8 hours later. So things do change. As of right now, he's not in the portal. If he goes in, would Texas be interested in? The answer is absolutely. But it's not to that point at this time. And I believe his parents still live in Austin and all this other stuff. So he'd be welcome home. It's just sometimes things work out the way they do.
And staying on the portal talk here for a moment here. This one from Big Poke. Big Poke says, Miami just had 2 offensive linemen hit the portal yesterday. Do you think Texas could possibly take a look at them?
I mean,
they were like 3rd team guys.
Yeah. No, I don't see that. You'd want the Miami starter that's unhappy, but they aren't the one. There isn't one, and they're all going to the NFL.
Yeah.
And on a much related note here, this one from John. Thank you, John. He says, Bobby and Jerry, who is Texas going after in the portal for the last offensive line position and edge?
Well, I think we mentioned Priswell Umamelian at edge, a young man out of Ole Miss. We'll see if he actually visits Texas, talks to Texas, or if he just goes straight to LSU. A lot of people think he's going to go straight to LSU. Texas is going to throw its hat in the ring. At offensive line right now, we don't know what Texas is going to do exactly. I think it's going to take a player to enter the portal that would be of interest to them. Now, they can find depth pieces, but otherwise, I think that barring a change, we'll have to wait and see. Right now, there's not a guy out there that we know for sure they're going after.
I would say this too. I think Texas has 4 starting spots done.
Yeah.
Trevor Gooseby at left tackle, Connor Robertson at center, Brandon Baker at a guard, and Melvin Siani at right tackle. I think 4 are done. So I think and Dylan Sikorsky is there. And so I think right now you're looking at 1 that can compete for a starting job. I think 4 of those are done. If we're being real.
No, I agree. I agree with that. They only need 1, but they do need 1 in my opinion.
They do need 1. Yep.
All right, we got some more super chats we're going to get to in just a moment. But first, Bobby, I need you to tell everyone about Tecovas.
I can do that. I love me some Tecovas. Tecovas is stewarding the future of the American West, honoring its heritage, elevating its craft, and shaping a lifestyle rooted in authenticity and confidence, founded in 2015, headquartered in Austin, Texas. Wintertime is prime boot season. Start the year off right with a new pair of Tecovas Western boots. They have you covered with timeless and tasteful boot silhouettes, premium genuine leathers, and superior construction techniques. Every pair is handcrafted in over 200 steps. No stiff break-in period either. Just instant out-of-the-box comfort. That's one of the things I liked about mine. I didn't have to wear them like 10 times before I felt comfortable in them. From cowhide and goat to exotic leathers like ostrich and caiman, whether it's your first pair or your 50th pair, Tecovas has you covered. Look, shop Tecovas Western Goods online at tecovas.com or swing by a Tecovas store for the full experience with free drinks, boot shines, and complimentary boot branding to make your pair feel personal. Right now, get 10% off at tecovas.com/Texas football when you sign up for email and text. That's 10% off at tecovas.com/Texas football, tecovas.com/Texas football. See site for details. Tecovas, point your toes west. And remember, anywhere worth going is worth going in good boots.
And Jerry, I'm going to let you tell everyone about Mark Saunders this morning.
One of the longtime friends of On Texas Football and a great guy for the OTF community to get in touch with when it comes to protecting all your stuff. Wouldn't it be great if there's one place that protects it all? I got some great news for you. That's Texas All-State agent Mark Saunders, who serves the Austin and Round Rock area in the entire state of Texas. He's the only insurance agent you'll need, and he's a Texas alum. Everything from your home, car, and boat to your motorcycle, RV, and ATV. Call Texas alum Mark Saunders' office today at 512-218-8571, our OTF guarantee. You'll be in great hands with the more than 35 years of experience that Texas alum and Texas All-State agent Mark Saunders brings to the table. Again, give him a call, 512-218-8571, and do what so many other OTF community members have done over the last 2.5 years.
All right, let's jump right back into Super Chats. We got another one here regarding the portal. This one from Sailor Joe, and he says, what happened to the visit with the Texas State interior offensive lineman, Lockett?
It was never set. There was never a visit set. I think that's the one thing. So I don't know if it was ever reported that there was a visit set, but there was never a visit set there. Texas had multiple conversations with him, but it didn't materialize. And I don't know if he's committed yet. I'd expect him at Maryland.
Yeah, the issue is that I think that Texas was shooting a little higher. That's the reality of things right now for it. And I do agree with Jerry. I think he's going to end up at Maryland at this point. Texas made contact, but never brought him on campus. They talked about bringing him in, just never transpired. I think that they like what they have a little bit better, maybe. Is the guy where I came out on it.
All right, Bobby, our next one this morning comes from Texas Titan. He says, good morning, OTF family. Do you guys think that going into this spring, Texas projected 2 deep is more talented than last spring?
Wow, this is a good question because it's talking about 2 deep. 1 deep, the answer is yes. So 1 deep, the answer is yes. 2 deep, I don't know, because I do think that some attrition has hit Texas, right? the Nate Kibbles and Daniel Cruzes and even Bo Barnes and some guys like that left the program. Jordan Washington, solid players, DeAndre Moore, Parker Livingston. Parker Livingston and DeAndre Moore, if Texas had Cam Coleman, Ryan Wingo, and Emmett Mosley, those two guys, Moore and Livingston, would be second string. So just to give you a thought process there, I think that the first team is definitely more talented. I don't know about the depth. I think it's a really good question. I'd have to let me sit down and really look at it once the portal actually closes. Like once Texas is really truly done. They could be truly done at this point, but we'll see.
And then our next one comes from Terrence. Thank you, Terrence. Appreciate you as always. He said, hey, Jerry and Bobby, would you like to see Texas start the season at number 1 again? Terrence says personally he doesn't. He would like to see them around 5 to start.
I go back. I think it's good to have expectations, high expectations. And so to your point, I think that's fine. 5, 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever the number is. I thought number 1 was dumb this past off season, and I said it at the time. Said it's nice that people think of you that way, but I don't think you're going to be the number 1 team in the country when you're starting a new quarterback, getting so many different things going at the same time. Turns out I feel like I was a little vindicated by that because I thought Texas would start slow and finish strong. This year, I think Texas will be more even all season long. I really believe that. I can see, obviously, 2 is the consensus in this number. Anywhere from 1 to 7 or 8 is fine with me. I think that Texas will have one of the top 3 or 4 rosters in the country from a starter perspective. So it's going to come down to the bounce of the football, who they play, when they play them. Things like that have to be perfect if you're going to be perfect sometimes. I mean, what happens to Indiana if they don't block that punt? Is Indiana 16-0 if they don't block that punt? Because Tony Hill's made a great point about something. When Miami went hurry up on Indiana, their defense did lose some, I don't know what the best way. They lost some mojo, that Indiana defense did, when they went hurry up. It kind of caught them. So without that block punt, are we sitting here saying Fernando Mendoza had his Heisman moment? I don't know. Got to get lucky to be number 1 is my point, and to win it all. Not 100% luck. A lot of skill and talent, but there's got to be a little element of that every so often.
All right, our next question this morning comes from Spank Boogie. Speaking of Indiana, he says, does Indiana's success put a lot of programs on notice? Meaning it's not about player rankings, but about coaching and being disciplined.
I don't look. I think if it happens at a couple of other schools, yes, because here's the thing, and we're about to see if anybody else can pull off something similar. When you change jobs, how many of your best players do you pull with you? How do you put that together quickly? And can you have that much instant success? So I think it's kind of to be determined on that. Sometimes you can catch lightning in a bottle. But if a couple other people start pulling the similar off, doesn't mean you win a national championship, but you change jobs, you pull a lot of your best players with you to said school, and then you make a big jump out of the gate, then I think it negates a little bit of what happened at Indiana. Because I do think in the portal day and age, people look at the age of the player. I look at when a coach takes a job, how many of his best players are coming with him? And do you already put that with some decent players on a roster? And then can you get all those guys to buy in quickly? It's easier to get guys to buy in when there was a lot of guys that already played for you and your staff. So if somebody just takes a job and puts it all together from scratch and doesn't bring a lot of their players, I think it's tougher. So I'm kind of monitoring this moving forward to see if anybody else close to pull something similar off. I don't know about you, Bobby, because I think that's kind of what we have to watch for here.
I don't think it puts anybody on notice. I mean, it's such a Cinderella story. I mean, to have that expectation of any coach to win a national championship in 2 years after your team has been destitute for 100. I mean, that stat yesterday was unbelievable. Indiana has 6 bowl wins in their program's history. 6 in 120 years. 3 of those bowl wins happened in the last 3 weeks. So 3 of 6, half of their entire bowl history wins came in the last 3 weeks. I mean, I don't even know what to say to that. I mean, so I think that my point is putting other teams on notice. I don't know. The only thing I would say that it could change a little bit, maybe you find more ADs hiring coaches that win 1 AA championships, essentially, or lower level things that they can then bring their entire roster with them, or a lot of their roster, 19 players. Maybe that's what Penn State did at some level with Iowa State this year.
Yep.
Now that's a different category because, you know, Iowa State in a big conference and James Madison, where Signetti's from, in a lower conference. But I can see a little bit of that. Maybe that's the AD hiring process changes for a head coach, but not the expectation level can't be, okay, I'm going to hire a coach and you're going to win a national championship in 2 years at TCU or Baylor or Oklahoma State.
No.
And Oklahoma State may be one that we look at this year, by the way, because they got their quarterback, got their running back, they got several other players they like. Let's see if he can go 16-0 in year 2. Eric Morris.
And then we have a super chat from Jeff. Thank you, Jeff Moore. He says it's been a fun and nerve-wracking football season. So on to my favorite time of the year. When are we going to get a baseball season preview? Thank you guys for all your hard work. Jeff and CJ and I were talking about this the other day. We'll bring back Bases Loaded here in a couple of weeks. So they'll have the alumni game. I think it's February 1st, if I remember correctly. And then the season starts like a week and a half after that. So we'll have it here probably in about 2 weeks. We'll bring back all the baseball stuff. So looking forward to it. Should be a good season. And thank you, Jeff.
You're saying top 2 ranked baseball program?
I think so. I think they are good enough. Anywhere from 1 to 4 or 5, I think you can make an argument for.
Hey, we didn't mention this yesterday. We should have. Aaliyah Crump has returned to the women's basketball team.
The half-to-halfer.
Yeah, Jerry's been mentioning this. She becomes an immediate help to Jordan Lee and Maddie Booker from a scoring perspective. Texas beat Texas A&M, 80-35?
Yeah.
They outscored them like 41-6 or something crazy in the second half. The thought process here is that Crump gives Texas that little extra push that they're going to need to be a great team this year.
Yeah.
I know we get some people that watch Texas women's hoops, and they've been excited about this one.
The whole thing for me with Aaliyah Crump, when you saw her early in the year, Texas was a harder team to scout defend from wing to wing. And when she went down, that changed. Texas was an easier team to defend on Jordan Lee and Madison Booker. If you're an elite team, there's such a difference in women's basketball between elite, and there's such a huge drop-off after about 16, 17, 18 teams. That's just a reality. There's just a big drop-off for the men's games, much deeper, right? But Texas, if your ultimate goal, which it is to get in that game against UConn, if you get to that game against UConn, they shoot 40% from 3. You have to make them turn around and defend you, and you have to be the toughest team to defend that they've played all year. You have to get their legs tired and make them defend you as much as you have to work to defend them. And I think what Crump and Lee do together is they make Maddie Booker, that gives her more space to operate on a court. And I think that's huge. And it doesn't put as much pressure on Rory Harmon to score the basketball. And so it makes the pieces, when I saw them early in the year, the pieces fit really well together when Crump was healthy. She's got to stay healthy for them to be able to maximize this team offensively. You know they're going to play good defense under Vic. You know they're going to play hard. You know they're going to be physical. But they have to complete the puzzle on offense to hoist the big trophy at the end, because they have the ability to. But if you get in that one game against a UConn who shoots it so well, you got to make their legs tired on the other end of the court and maybe see if that affects their ability to shoot the basketball, because UConn women are, 40% from three is ridiculous.
And I need to correct myself. That alumni game, actually January 31st, that Saturday.
You're one day off.
One day. But I don't want anybody showing up on a Sunday and then blaming me. And we need to mention softball ranked #1 for the first time preseason in school history.
Yeah.
So big accomplishment there.
Take that, OU.
Coach White.
I'm thinking Texas Tech might be the team that with the same pitcher they had last year.
Mm-hmm.
And they added another pitcher apparently in the portal. So in case that one went down, she's not bad.
Yeah.
They're not just totally left hanging out there.
Yeah.
Hey, Blake, can I mention before we get out of here, the coaches were on the road and recruiting. I know people kind of all portal focused, but high school recruiting is still very important. Very important. Look at Miami's team. It's very important. And so the staff's been on the road. They've been a lot of DFW this week, still are. Sark, Muschamp, Blake Gideon, they all had an in-home with Jaquan Snell. The A&M commit, the safety at Waxahachie.
All of them did? So not just Sark, but Muschamp and Blake Gideon too?
Yep. And
he might be pretty good. That may be a hint that they think he's pretty good, guys. Just for the record.
And so Texas was out and about. They went to see I'll have more on TexasFootball.com. Jalen Brewster yesterday at the Texas Tech commit at Cedar Hill. They went to see a number of guys. They're going to go see not all the guys they see are definite. They're going all in on, right? I still think Texas is trying to make decisions. But they've gone to see a lot of Adrian Redmond, DeSoto, the defensive lineman committed to Texas Tech. Number of other guys. Some of the guys that were at the junior day last week, Brian Swanson, Peyton Miller, Montre Jackson. I mean, they're doing a lot of work in DFW this week with some of their remaining days, going to see those kids at schools, in-home visits on some of them. But staff remains on the road through this week. Some guys are out and about around the country. But I wanted to play this running back. So Ja'Shawn Gibson out of North Richland Hills.
Hey, that's where my wife went to school.
There you go. This is the fastest athlete since Jenny Burton at North Richland Hills. Jenny was a track star. So look, it's interesting. This guy kind of came out of nowhere this year. He rushed for 500 yards. This is Ja'Shawn Gibson. Jabbar Jalouk went to see him yesterday. He played half the time at linebacker last year. I think he had 25, 26 tackles, rushed for 500 yards. This year, he took off. On the Friday night football field at running back. He had about 2,360 yards rushing, about 400 receiving. He has grown, or he's added this frame. He's now 5'9.5", 5'10", and 194, 95 pounds. But a guy that is getting a lot of attention. Michigan, Arizona State were there yesterday. Michigan offered him recently. He's got 23 offers now, a number of Power Fours, Texas Tech, SMU, you name it. And now the big schools are starting to come in and take a look at him because he was an unknown headed in this year. So Landon Williams-Callis, the 5'8", 190-pound juking, darting running back from Richmond Randall is very, very good. Sherrod Baker got a lot of attention because during that DeSoto playoff run. Ja'Shawn Gibson is now getting a lot of attention from the college coaches. And that's important because everybody that's in DFW is going by to see this guy. And I posted some photos of him. He is getting that running back build right now, his frame. But, yes, he does have some jets. He's a very good player. So now there's a third running back that's entered the race in Texas. So,
interesting.
Yeah.
Good player. He's got some subtleness to him. That's you know who he looks like? He looks like one of those. He looks a little bit like the Indiana running backs.
Yeah.
Just Pow.
Yep.
That one cut and then has some speed to him.
Yep. Yep. By the way, Rocky Port was talking. He commented on the David Cigar kid. For those that missed the show yesterday, I also posted OTF. I was kind of following the running backs Jabbar Jalouk had offered at Florida, seeing, okay, who's he going to go see on the road and what could that mean? He went to see the kid from Burns High in South Carolina, in Duncan, South Carolina at Burns. David Segarra last week. Segarra is the varsity letterman in football, wrestling, and soccer, and runs track as well. But Jalouk went to see him, and we expect him to visit this spring and sit down with Sarkisian. So does that mean Texas may offer him? We'll see.
All right, Bobby, why don't you tell us about Adam Lowy and the Lowy Law Firm one more time, please, sir?
Absolutely can. Adam, the law school grad, University of Texas. If you've been injured in a car wreck, truck wreck, an automobile accident of any kind and think you might be due compensation, make sure you reach out to Adam and his law firm, LowyLawFirm.com. That's LowyLawFirm.com. He specializes in helping folks who've been injured in a collision. He'll give you a free, no strings attached consultation to see if you might be due compensation. Again, that is LowyLawFirm.com. Thank you, Adam, for your sponsorship of On Texas Football.
I don't know why that went away. All right, there we go. Let's see here. We got a few more super chats. Let's see. This next one from Chris. Thank you, Chris. He says, for the Texas at LSU game, since LSU wears white at home, will it be the first time Texas has worn burnt orange for a true road game?
I have no clue.
It's a great question.
I mean, I guess we'll ask John Bianco, the Texas Sports Information Director.
Yeah, we'll ask. We'll get you that answer.
Has Texas played a road game at LSU before? I think they have, haven't they? Back in like the 50s or 60s?
Yeah, I wasn't around for it for sure.
Yeah, no, I wasn't either. Good question, Chris.
Yeah.
That's a idiosyncratic question that needs answered.
They have not, by the way.
Okay.
They've never played at LSU?
They've played in Austin in 2019, and the only other times that they have played was 2003, which was a neutral site.
That was a bowl game. That's Cotton Bowl.
Yeah.
Roy Williams went off.
Yeah.
Those are, according to TexasLonghorns.com, anyway.
Okay.
All right, Sailor Joe here says, I feel shaky about O-line depth already. Can you review what the O-line in depth will look like if the season started today, and freshmen to look out for in their first season?
Look, I think there's pretty much 4 starters, and that doesn't mean the Colemans, the young kids that redshirted, the Colemans they got a chance now. Jackson Christian is your backup center. They really like Jackson Christian. Just because we live in a portal day and age doesn't mean there's not good young players at Texas that redshirt and nobody's seen. I'm going to keep saying that because football hasn't changed that much. These guys, there's some talent in this program that's young. Sikorsky is a candidate at one of the guard spots, obviously. I think Jonte Newman, who transferred from A&M, is more of a developmental player. We'll see if he ends up being a tackle or guard. With Trevor Gooseby sidelined for spring, that's going to kind of shift a little bit of left tackle who works at left tackle because to build that depth in the spring. I think there's some good young players in Austin at the offensive line that aren't being talked about, or people are just so portal focused that they don't even going to give young kids a chance, but it's not long-term. That's not the way this is going to work long-term. You're still going to have good young players that end up being really good players for you. So I think yes, Prince will commit at LSU, but I think
did he really?
People are saying that,
Okay.
but I haven't seen that. I think there's a need for another offensive line. I think Siani is a good addition. And I know in the chat, people are like, can Brandon Baker play guard? Brandon Baker can't play guard. I can remind people, Hayden Connor's in the NFL. So I would just be cautious that Brandon Baker can't play guard. So people don't think he can be as good a guard as Hayden Connor. Hayden Connor's in the NFL. So I think Brandon Baker's got a chance to be a really good player. So I think there's a need for an addition there. Bobby's still at guard is my main thing.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that asking a backup center to be a redshirt freshman is a difficult ask. Too deep. Gooseby, if I'm going left to right now, first team, Gooseby, Sikorsky, Robertson, Baker, Siani. Second team, Jaden Chapman, Coleman, Jonah Coleman at guard, Jackson Christian at center. Who do you have at right guard now that Kibble's gone? And then right tackle, Andre Kojo. So there's some guys coming in. I mean, there's a spring ball for a reason. To y'all's point, though, I still see a need at a guard spot.
Yeah. Yeah.
And our final one of the day comes from Rocky P. Thank you, Rocky P. Says, Jerry, when do we see retired pros try to play college ball? Saw a drafted player suing the NCAA to go back to Bama after 3 years.
Basketball's out of control right now. I mean, it's out of control. It's like the fact that guys who have played in G League games are immediately eligible and they're able to transfer back to college basketball. I call it transfer back to college basketball. I mean, look, but once the pros from Europe were allowed to play college basketball without penalty, and the guys who had actually been playing in the high level pro leagues, then it was going to get out of control quick in basketball. And South Carolina, signed a 6'7" lady that was playing pro ball. And she's now on the team and played the other night against Texas, got her first action. I mean, but look, the argument is from the agent side, and I get the argument. Well, you can call this college athletics, but it's really not. Once guys start being paid to play, it's no different than pro sports. So I get from the agents and I get from the college coaches that are saying, hey, man, it's not any different than the rest of our players. I get where their argument is. Because the reality is we can call college athletics college all we want, but it's really no different at this point. Because
You're
guys
not supposed to be able to be paid for play, Jerry. It's supposed to be you can use your NIL.
Yeah.
And I hear you, and you're not wrong.
Yeah.
It's out of control and all this other stuff. But there are fundamental differences that should be in place and guardrails that should be in place. But what's happened is the leaders of college sports have abdicated their duty and lost all sense to the courts because they clung to these notions of purity and way too long. And now, you reap what you sow, man. And that's what's happening to college sports across the board. Thankfully, I'll say this. Thankfully, we have a game like Monday night in Indiana and Miami that shows us still what college sports can be. So I haven't given up hope, but man, somebody needs to get after it because right now, stop the nonsense. Transferring in to start at mid-year. I mean,
from the NBA G League.
Yeah, unbelievable.
Basketball's out of control. It really is.
I need to correct myself real quick before we get out of here. So the page on TexasLonghorns.com was looking, I guess, more at the modern era. And they've actually played each other 17 times, 5 of those being in Baton Rouge, once in New Orleans as well back in 1902. So anyway, I stand corrected. Modern era, no. But yes, going all the way back to 1896, which was their first meeting where LSU won 14-0.
A lot of baseball scores in those older games.
Yeah, 5-0, 6-6. Yeah, definitely.
Texas is beaten. I'm looking at Texas has beaten LSU twice in Baton Rouge in 1937, before the eve of World War II, and then in 1952. So there's precedent here for Texas to go in to Death Valley and win. Long
By the way,
time.
I know Bobby will roll his eyes, but that's why I was all for Texas football just paying Cam Williams a couple of million to come back and start at right tackle this year from the Eagles.
They can't. He can't do that.
Who says it before?
Anything's possible.
Somebody asked me on the message board today or this morning whether or not Anthony Hill could come back if he wanted to right now. And the answer is no. He declared for the NFL draft. And once you declare for the NFL draft, you can't return.
Well, but here's the problem with that. If some football player wants to do it, they're just going to say, basketball's doing it, so stop me.
I
hear what you're saying, Bobby, but it's not going to hold up very much longer.
Texas is unlikely to be the school that pushes that lever. I'll just put it that way. I mean, this whole Miami Duke Darian Mensah thing, the quarterback at Duke signed a contract, 2-year agreement with Duke, entered the portal. Duke is now suing their own quarterback to make him to stay. Miami is offering him gobs of money to go. I don't know what to tell you.
I'd bring Cam Williams back.
All right, guys.
Said the best players in the CFL self college eligibility. I've said that before. Somebody's going to do it. The people in football are going to copy basketball. It's coming. See who does it first.
Well,
don't make my head explode, please.
All right, that's going to do it for today's episode of Coffee and Football, presented by Adam Lowy and the Lowy Law Firm. We want to thank Adam, along with Tecovas, Prize Picks, Vaughn Lane, and Mark Saunders for sponsoring today's show. Of course, thank you all for tuning in as well. Thank you to Tony Hills for joining us. Bobby, what do you got for people later today?
We got state of the program. Jerry, myself, and Rod Baber is going to sit down and talk a little Texas football and what we've got going on right now. We've got the live stream later. We've also got news and notes. And again, there are going to be guys entering the portal, we believe, today. And we're going to be trying to monitor that, as well as monitor where Steve Sarkisian is on the road from a recruiting perspective. As Jerry mentioned, he was out in the Metroplex yesterday, probably going to be out again today. Elsewhere, we will be on top of that as we see fit. Come join us over at ontexasfootball.com.
Well, we hope you all have an amazing day today. We'll be back tomorrow morning. So for Bobby Burton and Jerry Hamilton, I'm Blake Monroe, and we'll see you then.